Welcome to episode 13 of the Reading Finnegans Wake in 200 Sessions podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And welcome, everyone, to a brand new deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into the magnificent, maddening, and utterly monumental world of James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. Specifically, we're tackling Chapter 3, pages 48 through 50.
A really dense section.
Oh, absolutely. And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to untangle, or maybe, knowing Joyce, beautifully retangle the fates of characters we've sort of glimpsed before.
Right.
We want to delve into the very fabric of what we've started calling the Earwigger saga.
Yeah.
We'll see how Joyce just masterfully blurs those lines between fact, fiction, reputation, all while we navigate these incredible linguistic puzzles, historical nods, and some, well, really surprising character shifts.
And it's all custom tailored for you, our listener, on your journey to being incredibly well informed about this text. And it is quite a journey, isn't it? Because these pages, they offer such a rich tapestry of meaning here. Yeah. But they inherently question the reliability of any story.
That's the thing.
Joyce himself, he calls the narrative all false issues, anti-libellous, and non-actionable.
Right there in the text.
Right there. So our deep dive today, it's sort of going to mirror that challenge. We're pulling back the curtain on how truth and legend just get completely intertwined.
To the point where telling them apart is... well, that's the puzzle, isn't it?
That is the puzzle. And it's often a delightful one. We're really getting into memory, identity, and, the whole nature of storytelling itself here.
Okay, so let's unpack this with a bang, because honestly, that's exactly how this section kicks off. We're hit with this really dramatic, almost theatrical opening. Chest, see, Sitt, corpo di barriojo. Wow.
It is a wow moment, isn't it?
Wow.
It just throws us straight into this world that's bursting with layers of meaning. Chest C. It immediately makes you think of opera, right?
Yeah, that high C.
That powerful resonant note from an old school tenor. It's announcing something big with fanfare.
Like a curtain going up.
Exactly. But it's also playing with things like just see, or even the French sici, meaning this.
So look here. Pay attention.
Precisely. It's this multi-layered invitation to witness something significant, even if we don't know what it is yet.
And then corpo di barragio, it just sounds explosive.
It's a brilliant mashup. It starts like corpo di Bacco.
Yeah.
The Italian oath, by Jove or by God.
So that's a tone of surprise, maybe.
Or exasperation, yeah. A common sort of exclamation. But Joyce fuses it with barragio, Italian for dam, and the English barrage, like a military barrage.
So like a dam breaking, a flood of something.
A flood of something, an overwhelming outpouring, words, events, maybe scandal. We're told right away to expect this huge, maybe confusing release of information.
And boom, right into the ambiguity with the next bit. You spoof of visibility in a freak fog. Spoof right away makes you think deception, doesn't it? Or parody, maybe. Like what we're seeing isn't quite real.
Exactly. Delusion, boastful stories.
Yeah.
It's all in there. And the freak fog, this sudden weird fog that just rolls in and cuts visibility.
So literally hard to see.
Literally hard to see. And metaphorically, too. It's like Joyce is saying, okay, folks, things are about to get unclear, maybe funny, definitely hard to pin down. It's just a perfect setup for the unreliability we're about to face.
Yeah, it really prepares you.
And that freak fog, it's much more than just weather. It's this powerful symbol for the confusion that just blurs everything. He calls it a fog of mixed sex cases among goats, hillcat, and plain mousy.
Right, that mixed sex motif keeps popping up, doesn't it?
It does. It creates this literal and metaphorical blurring, making it really hard to tell things apart. Genders, roles, even the characters themselves.
Like the hillcat and plain mousy.
Precisely. A hillcat suggests a hellcat, a spiteful or lewd person. A plain mousy, quiet, timid woman. You have this potential contrast, but...
lost in the fog.
Lost in the fog. Indistinguishable.
And inside this fog, we get hints of scandal. Bigamy Bob and his old Shan Vocht. Now, Shan Vocht is a loaded term, right?
Oh, hugely loaded. Shan van Vocht, the poor old woman, is this incredibly powerful personification of Ireland itself.
Tied to nationalism, the struggle.
Deeply tied. So linking Bigamy Bob's affair with this symbol, it suggests personal scandals aren't just private matters in Joyce's Dublin. They're woven into the bigger national story.
Reflecting Ireland's own troubles, maybe?
I think so, yeah. It's complex identity.
And then another scandal gets sort of downplayed. The Blackfriars Treacle-Plaster outrage Belittled.
This is fascinating. It's a real historical event, a London robbery in 1912. Thieves used sticky paper, treacle-plaster, to break glass quietly.
Sounds quite dramatic.
It was sensational at the time. But here, Joyce says the outrage is belittled, diminished, mocked, almost.
And Liddell, that sounds like Alice Liddell.
Almost certainly an allusion to her. So a real serious crime gets reduced, trivialized, almost like a children's story. It undermines the seriousness of reported events again. History turning into nursery rhyme, almost.
So what's the result of all this chaos? Therewith was released in that King's Rick of Humidia, a poisoning volume of Cloud Barrage indeed. This feels important. The ballad itself released poison.
Exactly. The Ballad of Percy Riley unleashed this cloud of poison, a very putrid odor of corruption.
And Cloud Barrage, that sounds intense.
It is. It's a World War I term for phosphorus shells that created blinding, poisonous smoke. Zero visibility.
So not just a cloud of witnesses like in the Bible.
No, this is a toxic cloud. The witnesses, the storytellers, they're spreading corruption, confusion, and the King's Rick of Humidia, this damp, humid kingdom.
Like Chapel-Izzard, maybe?
Could well be. And it hints at Richard III, too, the crook-backed, ambiguous king, a bit like HCE.
Wow.
It sets up this feeling of overwhelming, confusing, morally murky information, all triggered by this scandalous song.
So then Joyce writes, "Yet all they who heard or redelivered are now with that family of bards, as much no more as be they not yet now, or had they then not ever been." That feels like a really core statement about just how fleeting everything is.
It's absolutely central. Impermanence. Those who heard the ballad, repeated it, the witnesses, the gossips, they're gone, vanished, as though they had never been.
That's a powerful phrase.
It echoes the book of Sirach, actually. It highlights this ancient universal sense of loss. And it brings in that typical Joycean time blurring, doesn't it? Past, present, future, all collapsing.
Like, how can you hold on to a story if everyone involved just disappears?
Exactly. Their existence dissolves into this state of, well, never having existed at all.
And it's not just individuals, it's a whole family of barbs and Vera-Bretus himself and the crowd of crocolacticors. Who are these people, these keepers of fading stories?
Well, the bards are the storytellers.
Oh,
Costi, maybe, passing down tales through generations. That oral tradition, so key in Ireland.
Right.
Vera-Bretus, that was the chief magistrate among the ancient Gauls, a temporary king chosen by druids, a man to judge.
sounds important, but maybe.
Temporary. Temporary, exactly. It connects to Vercingetorix, too, the Gaul who fought Caesar. So leadership, judgment, but maybe a sense of fading authority, a lost cause.
And Caraculacticors, that's pure Joyce. What's in that one?
Oh, it's fantastic. It blends Caractacus, the British chieftain who fought Rome,
Okay.
Caracalla, the Roman emperor, character actors.
Ah, the performance theme again.
Yes, and even Caracol, a type of sheep. So it's ancient heroes mixed with stage performers, shifting identities, maybe even an animalistic hint. History as performance.
And the text dives right back into that performance idea. Can be in some future, we shall presently hear, amid those zouave players of Inkerman, the mime mumming the Mick and his Nick miming their Maggies. A play within a play.
Totally. A really rich theatrical scene, Zouave Players of Inkerman. That was a real troupe, founded during the Crimean War, and notably known for men playing female parts.
There's that gender blurring again.
Absolutely. Zouave also sounds like suave, agreeable. It just keeps blurring reality, gender, presenting life as roles.
And the mime mumming the Mick and his Nick miming their Maggies. That sounds like Joyce's own play.
A direct nod to the mime of Mick, Nick, and the Maggies. Usually seen as ACE, Shem, Shan, Issy, Mick, the Irishman, Nick, maybe the devil, mimicking Maggie's girls, or maybe Majesties.
So it's the core family drama being reenacted.
Reenacted as performance, constantly asking what's real and what's just a show.
And we get real Dublin names dropped into Hilton St. Just, Ivan St. Austell, known tenors.
Exactly. Grounding the fantasy in real people, real places. St. Just and St. Austell are towns in Cornwall, too. It adds this layer of, well, confusing reality.
And Coleman of Lucan taking 4 parts, another actor known for multiple roles.
Yes, reinforcing that theme of shifting identity. And John Collins from the Lucan Spa Hotel, specific Dublin details woven in.
Then the ensemble expands with a choir of the O'Daly O'Doyles double-sixing the chorus and Finn McCall and the Servant Furies of Loch Neach. More Irish history.
Deep Irish history and folklore. O'Daly's were hereditary poets. O'Doyle's descended from Danes, dark foreigners. Double-sixing means 12 singers.
Performing what?
A pantomime. Finn McCall and the Fairies of Loch Neach. So Finn McCool, the giant of legend.
Who made Lofnay, right?
Exactly. And fairy, a fairy play. 7 fairies like a nursery rhyme. It's myth, history, panto, all on this blurry stage.
And it ends with this musical, almost ghostly image. Galloper Troppler and Harlequin, the zitherer of the past, with his merry men all zim 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 zim.
Galloper Troppler makes you think of Swift's Gulliver, another unreliable narrator.
Good point.
Harlequin is Harlequin, the trickster from pantomime. Mischief, hidden identities. The zitherer playing that zim 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 sound, it suggests music, memory, a faint echo.
And merry men, like Robin Hood.
Could be. Followers of a night. It pulls together history, folklore, theater into this hazy collective performance where everyone's fading away.
Right, and this leads us to the Era-Wigla saga. Here's where it gets really interesting, because Joyce tells us up front what to think of it.
He really does. He introduces this saga, and Era-Wigla clearly points to the Icelandic Erbygja saga, which involved trips to Dublin, connecting Iceland, Ireland, Air, and Earwooker.
But then he immediately says it's which, thorough readable to int from, and is from tub to bottom, all false tissues, anti-libellous and non-actionable, and this applies to its whole hue.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's this huge paradox. It's readable, you can understand it, to int from and. But
it's completely false. All false tissues. A collection of lies, basically.
A tissue of falsehoods. He's telling us straight up, this narrative is suspect.
Yeah.
And then he adds, it's anti-libellous and non-actionable.
Meaning you can't sue over it because it's so obviously untrue.
Precisely. It's too general, too fictional. It speaks volumes about rumor, myth, how stories escape accountability. It's not just in the text, it's the text talking about itself.
A whole volume of untruths.
Yes, and that perfectly sets us up for the character accounts that follow. We know we have to question everything.
Okay, so let's dive into the first character in this unreliable saga. Of poor Ostifasti, described as quite a musical genius in a small way, and the owner of an exceedingly nice ear with tenorist voice to match. That's Hosty, the bard.
That seems to be him. And Ostifasti, it's layered, of course. Ostia is Italian for the Eucharist, the host, a sacrificial victim.
Oh, wow.
But Osti's an innkeeper, a host, and Fasti's, you were. So he's tragic. Maybe a host and a victim.
A musical genius in a small way with a nice ear sounds a bit overly delicate.
Maybe. A tenorist voice. It complicates him right away. Talent mixed with tragedy, maybe a certain fussiness.
And he's a very major poet of the poorly meritary order. What's that about? Poorly meritary.
It's a great pun. Sounds like purely military, but it plays on pour le mérite, that prestigious Prussian medal awarded purely for merit.
Okay.
So the poorly aspect doesn't mean minimal merit, or that the honor was open to the poor, not just aristocrats.
So he's a major poet, but with this ambiguous distinction.
Exactly. Hints of talent, but maybe a reputation that's not quite solid, or perhaps undeserved.
And his poetic journey. He began to Unisonian, but worked his passage up as far as the we all hang together Animandovites. How did he evolve?
Well, Twentisonian? That suggests Finnish 20, death. Maybe Dario de Toni, Joyce's friend. Italian Suonanti Tuoni, Thundering Thunders. And probably Tennyson.
Who Joyce wasn't a fan of.
Not really. Saw him as an establishment figure. So Hosty starts maybe somber, formal, deathly. Then he worked his passage up, literally paying your way by working, but also rising in rank or style.
Towards?
The Animandovites, from Italian animandovite, giving life. So he moved from that conventional, maybe death-like style to something more vital, animated, growth, transformation, but maybe a struggle.
But it sounds like it didn't end well. No one end is known. If they whistled him before he had curtains up, they were whistling him still after his curtains doom.
That sounds brutal. A vivid, heartbreaking metaphor. Whistling a performance was public disapproval, like booing.
So they booed him before he even started and after he finished.
You couldn't catch a break. Curtains up, down, mark the show's start and end. But curtains doom. That's not just the end of the show. It's his blighted life, his death.
Doom, like the final curtain falling.
Exactly. Heavy, final, inescapable, a cycle of disapproval.
And the final stark note, Ifu.
Italian.
Iblis.
He was, meaning he's dead. It's part of that recurring cluster he was throughout the wake, a definitive declaration of demise.
Okay. Now, another fluid, tragic figure. His husband, poor old Ahara, Urkarov, crestfallen by things and down at heels at the time. His husband.
Yeah.
There's that gender motif again.
Right back at us. Blurring identities, fluid roles. Ahara connects to Omara from earlier, and Akara is Irish for my friend.
And Akurov? Sounds Russian.
It does. Maybe a spy, hiding his identity. especially with the Crimean War coming up.
Yeah.
And he's crestfallen, dejected, and down at heels, destitute, a man at rock bottom.
And in that state, he makes this really conflicted choice. They squeak, accepted the Zasnog, Ardry's shilling, at the conclusion of the Crimean War.
A very complex act. Squeak, maybe his worn-out shoes, or slang for confessing, turning informer. Taking the king's shilling meant joining the English army. But he takes the Ardry's shilling, the High King of Ireland, England's enemy.
So he's desperate, doesn't care which side, or it's a betrayal.
It's deeply contradictory. And Zasnog, layers of Czech, night again, Russian, fall asleep, German, not dead.
Oh.
It's a cry of despair, weariness, accepting his grim fate.
And his life becomes this incredible journey of wandering. And having flown his wild geese, alone in crowds to wander on like Shilly Looney, enlisted in Tyrone's horse, the Irish Whites, and soldiered a bit with Wolsey under the assumed name of Blanco Fusiloff-Nabokov, Spurious.
Wow, that's a lot packed in there.
An astonishing compression. Flown his wild geese refers to those exiled Irish Jacobite soldiers after 1691.
Right, the wild geese, but also plays on sown his wild oats. Youthful mistakes, maybe. Alone in crowds, that lonely crowd feeling isolation. It's from a Thomas More song, Shul Aroon.
Then he enlists in Tyrone's horse.
Referencing the Flight of the Earls, 1607. Irish chieftains fleeing. He's soldiers with Wolsey, maybe Viscount Wolsey from the Crimea.
Yeah.
All under this fake name.
Blanco Fusiloff-Nabokov, Spurious. Explicitly fake.
Yes, and the name itself blends things. Blanco Buckley is the wild goose from Joyce's notes. Blanco White, an Irish-Spanish priest. Fusil, rifle, Buckley. It highlights his hidden identity and connects directly to that huge motif. How Buckley shot the Russian general. His life is flight, hidden identities, blended histories.
So after all that, where does he end up? After which the Cower and the marble halls of Pump Court Columbarium, the home of the old Sea Kings, looked upon each other and queth their haven evermore. Very poetic.
Deeply evocative. Cower like a raven's caw. Columbarium, a dovecote or tomb from Clum a Dove. That dove-a-raven motif again, death and peace mixed.
Marble halls like the song.
Yes, I dreamt that I dwelt in marble halls, a faded grandeur, Pump Court, London, and the Pigeon House, Dublin combined. Blended locations.
Home of the old Sea Kings.
A British nationalist phrase, maybe used ironically here, and quith their haven evermore echoes Poe's raven, nevermore. And Adam and Eve leaving Eden, quit their heaven. A permanent departure, lost paradise.
And his death has specific details, fragmented last wishes. For it transpires that on the other side of the water it came about that on the field of Vasilov's cornix, inauspiciously with his unit he perished, saying, "This papal leafless to old chap give, raw chocolates for mouther and louth."
On the other side of the water, Jacobite code for exile. He died inauspiciously, unluckily, from auspices, bird omens linking back.
Vasilov's cornix.
Battlefield name plus cornix, Latin for crow. Or ill-omened birds, his dying words. A papal leafless, a paper leaflet, a book or letter. But leafless, pageless.
Like something's missing.
Yes, incompleteness for his old chap, his father. And raw chocolates, raw chocolate for his mother-in-law, or mother in County Louth.
That sounds oddly specific.
It alludes to a real patriotic Boer war song, a dying soldier asking for a royal chocolate box for his mother, and then boil Russian for he was, another he was marker. His end is sealed. Next up, poor old dear Paul Horan to satisfy his literary as well as his criminal aspirations. So says the Dublin Intelligence, was thrown into a Ridley's for inmates in northern counties. Literary and criminal classic Joyce.
Absolutely. Paul Horan, variant of Peter Cloran. And Horan was a real Lord Mayor of Dublin, so a public figure with maybe a hidden scandalous side.
Literary and criminal desires together.
A classic Joycian pairing.
Yeah.
Art and transgression. He was declared insane by the doomster in loquacity lunacy. A judge in a talkative insanity case, maybe the master in lunacy from Tom's Directory.
Reported in the Dublin Intelligence.
A short-lived paper. Confined to Ridley's Dublin slang for a mental hospital ward, like Richmond Asylum. Named after Bishop Ridley, burned as a heretic.
Wow, so madness linked to heresy.
That seems to be the implication, societal condemnation. And even in the asylum, he had this theatrical side. Under the name Orani, he may have been the utility man of the troupe, capable of sustaining long parts at short notice. He was.
A utility man in theater versatile actor, does odd jobs, but can step into big roles quickly. Suggests hidden depths, adaptability, even in confinement.
A performer to the end.
Perhaps. And that definitive, he was. Another one gone, another entry in the cluster, he was. Makes you wonder how many roles these characters played.
Okay, let's turn to sordid Sam, a dour, decent deblancer, the unwashed, haunted always by his ham, the unwished. Quite the description. He's a mix of Crinkle Tom and Frisky Shorty.
Seems so. Sordid, dirty, ignoble, dour, stern, but also decent. A paradox. Deblancer, Dubliner, unwashed, the lower orders.
It's dear, dirty Dubliner.
Exactly. Haunted by his ham, maybe Ham, son of Noah, or Ham acting, a bad performance. Burdened by something, and unwished, unwanted. A man weighed down by his past, his class.
And his end is, well, painful, but almost absurdly grand. At a word from Israfel the Summoner, passed away painlessly after life's ups and downs one Halloween night, ebrus and in the state of nature, propelled from behind into the great beyond by footblows.
Israfel the Summoner, the Muslim archangel of resurrection's trumpet, gives his death this cosmic operatic scale.
Even though the death itself is crude.
Very. Life's ups and downs, ups and downs, ebbs and downs, race course, sundowns, life's fluctuations. Died on Halloween, ebrus drunk, and in the state of nature, naked, vulnerable.
Propelled from behind by footblows. Violent, but also absurd.
Humiliating almost, and from behind has that definite scatological hint Joyce often uses. Grim humor.
And who did this? These bed scrappers. Coolin clouded upon his oyster and Atlason be hanged and behooved and behicked and behulked of his last fish and blood bed scrappers, a Northwegian and his mate of the she-wolving class.
Cullen Clouded references Spencer's Cullen Cloud in an Irish song, I Will Fly With My Cullen.
Literary echoes in the violence. Beaten on his oyster armpit and atlas neck vertebra, shoulders alpha omega. By his last fish and blood bed scrappers.
His flesh and blood, kindred. But fishy blood, seafarers maybe? A Norwegian and his she-wolving mate.
She-wolving.
Evokes William O'Shea from the Parnell scandal and Seawolf, pirate. So, betrayal, predators, maybe political scandal. Undone by those close or by scandal itself.
Yet in this degradation, the stage Thunkard has a final epiphany. Though the last straw glimpse his bearing this stage Thunkard is said to have solemnly said, as had the brief thought but fell in till his head like a bass drop neck fussed in till a bunkrate, cogged, me dreams, O Laughlins, has come through.
The last straw, glimpse. Danish gleam, glimpse. A final moment of clarity, maybe?
Yeah.
This stage Thunkard, a drunk who still performs, gets this dramatic moment.
Even though he was mocked for forgetting his lines.
Yeah, called prop boxer by the audience, pitfallen. His realization, this brief thought, falls like a bass drop neck fussed in till a bung crate, an image of ruin, bass sail smashed.
And it's immediately dismissed as cogged fake.
Yes, by some unseen critic. But he defiantly says, my dreams have come true. O'Loughlin's Scandinavian high kings suggest connection to ancestry, maybe a final delusion of grandeur?
An ambiguous moment. Realization or delusion.
Exactly. Powerful either way.
And from that, we get this incredibly deep philosophical bit. Now let the centuple selves of my egorge, as Nicholas de Cusack calls them, by the coincidence of their contraries, re-amalgamerge in that identity of undiscernibles where the Baxters and the Fleshmans, may they cease to bedivillans, and wow. This feels core to the wake.
It really does. Sam transcends his sordid self here. He talks about his centuple selves, hundreds of fragmented selves of his ego urge.
As Nicholas de Cusack calls them.
Yeah, blending Michael Cusack, GAA founder, the citizen in Ulysses, with Nicholas of Cusa, 15C, philosopher of plural worlds, identity of opposites.
That coincidence of contraries, opposites meeting.
Absolutely key. It allows these diverse selves to re-amalgamerge, remix, amalgamate, merge into an identity of undiscernibles. That's likeness. No two things are identical, but here they merge, challenging that.
So individual identity dissolving into something collective.
A unified consciousness, maybe. A grand vision.
And in this merged state, the Baxters and the Fleshmans, may they cease to be the villains. Who are they?
Baxters are bakers, Fleshmans are butchers, opposites but also identicals, food sellers, or indiscernibles. The hope is they cease to benevolent to benevolous.
Like the motto over the prison.
Exactly. Cease to do evil, learn to do well from Richmond Bridewell, where nationalists were held. So it's a plea for an end to conflict within the self, within society. Harmony from chaos.
And the very end of Sam's bit is chaotic.
But at this point, though, the iron thrust of his cockspurt start might have prepared us. We're well-nigh stink-pothered by the mustard punge in the tail end. This outanded brown candlestock melt Nolans into peas. Han var. Pretty grotesque finish.
It is. Full of double meanings, jarring shifts, point, fist, iron thrust of his cockspurt start, fighting cockspurs, but also ejaculation, crude vitality.
Then the stink-pothered by the mustard punge. Yeah, choked by smoke from his stink pot, bothered by pungent mustard. A sudden, unpleasant, maybe scatological surprise at the tail end disrupts the philosophy.
Out hand in brown candlestock, melt Nolans into peas.
Out hand in and out.
Yeah.
Sexual. Brown candlestick, melts Nolans. Giordano Bruno of Nola, the philosopher, candlemaker, into peas.
Peas. Like Shakespeare's out, brief candle.
Evokes that brevity of life. A messy, fragmented end for the man, the candle, the philosophy. Hanvar Danishi was. Definitive end.
Now for a disappearing act. Disliking as he was to drama, her wife Langley, the prophet, disappeared from the sour face of this earth, that austral plane he had transmarried himself to so entirely sporelessly. Again, her wife Langley, that gender motif.
Still going strong. This is maybe Shorty, the decent sort. Her wife Langley keeps blurring identity. Dislike in disguise. Dislike adds to the mystery.
Drama.
Drury Lane Theater, maybe the Mahabharata. Blending traditions. Langley, the prophet, vanishes sporelessly, traceless.
From the surface of the earth.
Yeah, maybe the English sourface was D.P. Moran's term, or just a sour face.
Yeah.
To an austral plane, southern, or the astral plane. Theosophy, where the soul goes after death. He transmarried himself, crossed the sea, transmuted, maybe to Australia for rejects. He's called a hobo, transient.
His disappearance sounds very...
Complete, almost a spiritual transmigration, not just travel.
And it involved taking some unusual leaves, in which, to doing, he has taken all the French leaves unavailable out of Callum the Killer's pravities.
To doing toodaloo goodbye. Taking French leave, leaving without permission. But also leaves of a book.
Missing pages.
Unavailable suggests that. Maybe from the Book of Kells, linked to St. Columcille, implying he took scandalous writings from Callum the Killer's pravities, a calumniating columnist, their depravities.
So he took the scandals with him.
Or the nature of scandal itself, a critique of rumor-mongering journalism. Maybe.
And his erasure is total, almost divine. The mother of the book with a dust whisk tabula rasing his obliteration done upon her involucrum.
A rich image. The mother of the book, Islamic idea of the Quran's perfect celestial source.
Like a cosmic blueprint.
Yes. Dust whisk tabula rasing, wiping clean like Locke's tabula rasa, blank slate. His obliteration erasure from the Book of Life, from her involucrum outer cover.
So his past identity completely wiped. Reincarnation, maybe?
It certainly suggests that possibility.
A total reset.
And this vanishing act fuels speculation. As to tickle the speculative to all but opine, since the levee who might have been Langley may have really been a redivivis of paganism or of volunteer Vousden, that the hobo had transdualed his funster's latitat to its finsterest intermost.
You see?
Exactly. His disappearance keeps identity fluid after he's gone. R.M. Levy, Irish violinist, could be Langley, maybe a redivivis of paganism, Paganini reborn, or return to pagan ways.
Or a volunteer Vousden?
Val Vousden, Dublin music hall entertainer. The hobo, full of humoresque, transdualed his funster's latitat, transferred his comedian's writ, or hiding place, latitat, he lies hid, to its finsterest intermost.
Darkest innermost, land's end, through a window.
All possibilities. Dark recesses, a new hidden habitat. Be she, Irish he was, another he was, but one that deepens the mystery.
Okay, now we really have to focus. A truly difficult identity problem. Again, if Father Sam Brown, tea and toaster to that quaintest of yarn spinners, is Padre Don Bruno, true and troster to the Queen of Irish Spain, this feels like the ultimate merging.
It presents this profound duality right away. Father Sam Brown, Reverend Brown, who rejected Joyce's early work, San Italian, Mr. Japanese.
The tea and toaster. Sounds prim.
Serving a quaintest of yarn spinners, but maybe he's also Padre Don Bruno, Father Brown the detective, and Giordano Bruno the heretic philosopher.
Burned at the stake.
Exactly. He's true and troster, loyal comforter to the Queen of Irish Spain, West of Spain. So a cleric, possibly too, with conflicting roles, Saint Theretic, local, international. Who is he?
His public persona sounds very vivid. Was the Reverend, the sodality director, that eupeptic vice flayer, a barefaced Carmelite to whose palpitating pulpit sinning society sirens became so enthusiastically attached? Sounds scandalous.
Definitely designed for it. Sodality director, spiritual advisor. Eupeptic, cheerful, good digestion. A vice flayer, harsh preacher. A barefaced Carmelite, audacious, shameless.
His palpitating pulpit attracted sinning society sirens.
Yes, women from high society.
Yeah.
A satirical dig at Father Bernard Vaughan's Sins of Society sermons and the press coverage.
And that name, Reverend and Honorable Fredemister Nollenmore and Braun,
Combines reverend, valuable, honorable, friar, Friday, Mr. And that key brown Nolan motif again, constant merging, a magnetic, controversial figure.
With some odd habits.
No.
And was an objectionable ass who very occasionally cockaded a raffles ticket on his hat, which he wore all to one side like the handle of his pan. If her elegance saw him in, she'd have the canary.
Called an objectionable ass. With a raffle ticket on his hat like a badge, cockaded, like the Mad Hatter, or Raffles the Thief.
Hat worn all to one side like the handle of his pan.
Handle of his face. Pan, lopsided clannish. If her elegance saw him, she'd have the canary. Throw a tantrum. Socially embarrassing.
And a secret scandal involving a table knife. And was semi-privately convicted of malpractices with his hot-wash table knife, glossing over the cark in his pocket.
Convicted of malpractices with a table knife. Such a mundane, weird detail. But they gloss over the cark burden of anxiety. Or a cork in his pocket.
Suggests a hidden shame. Secret vice.
Something concealed beneath the public piety. A classic Joyce detail, hinting at deeper compromise.
And then the massive question, tying back to HCE. That same snob of the Dunhill, fully several-year Shams Riper, encountered by the general on that red-letter morning or May noon Job's day, and were they feet foot, is this priest the cad with the pipe?
That's the huge question Joyce leaves hanging. Is Father Brown Padre Bruno also the cad? He's called a snob of the Dunhill, snob imitator of superiors, snuff of a candle, Dunhill pipes, Halfhead, a dunghill.
Fully several-year Shams Riper.
Years older, meerschaum pipe material, links to the cad. Encountered on a red-letter morning, May noon, Joe's day, Thursday. Were they? The question remains.
P-foot. He was.
Another dual demise, another he was, reinforces the cycle, but tantalizingly suggests these distinct figures might just be one and the same, melting together.
Wow.
Ultimately, it's what the text calls a scholar's problem, isn't it? Not just for us, but for anyone trying to grasp history, identity. Can we really distinguish people through the mists of time and rumor?
Seems unlikely here.
The features of everyone, bards, soldiers, criminals, drunks, prophets, priests, they melt confusingly into one another.
Yeah.
But maybe an archetype emerges, HECE, the inevitable hero, absorbing all these fragments.
So the reverend, the ass, the cad, could they be the same?
That's what the text forces us to consider, highlighting unreliable evidence, fluid identity, constant merging, constant performance.
So what does this all mean for us, having journeyed through this incredible landscape? We've seen characters dissolve into collective memory, stories blending into this challenging, engaging, earwigger saga. Joyce melts history, theater, philosophy, pop culture into this narrative where nothing's fixed. Every identity is performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This dive into 4850 shows the wake isn't just about the past. It is past, present, future all at once. It makes us face the falsity issues in all stories.
Right.
Reminding us that even what looks solid has performance underneath, changing faces, that coincidence of contraries. Identities aren't static. They're built, performed, dissolved by time and rumor.
So you, the listener, have just had this shortcut to being really well informed about the density, the humor, the deep questions in these pages, understanding why characters vanished sporelessly or passed away painlessly.
It's an intellectual adventure for sure.
Definitely challenging, but it opens up new ways of seeing things, how stories get made.
And the beauty of it really is realizing that our own search for definite answers, just like the characters' fates here, often leads to more questions.
Yeah.
Joyce leaves us knowing identities are fluid, memory is unreliable, and even vivid figures eventually become as much no more as be they not yet now, or had they then not ever been.
It's kind of profound.
It's a testament to how ephemeral everything is, pushing us to embrace ambiguity.
So here's your provocative thought to mull over. In a world where memory warps and identities just melt together, how do we truly know who we are or who anyone else is when even the most solid stories are just false tissues? What stands out to you from this intricate tapestry of vanishing acts and merging identities?
Keep that question with you. There's always more to unpack, always more layers in language and story.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden depths of knowledge.